Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Bo again. So, tonight we're going to talk about reaching back, the essence of conservatism, freedom, and futility. The future is scary. The future is a scary place. You know, the theme of the universe is very wild and free. Our future reflects that. It really does. The future is more freedom for more people. Should be. It's what we should be aiming for as we cast off the old ways and innovate and try to become better. It's like a beach when the tide comes in. Each wave of freedom gets a little bit further ashore. Yeah, it recedes every once in a while, a little bit. But see, with the universe, there's no outgoing tide. It just keeps crashing further and further inland. And to some people, that is scary. That is scary. It forces them to challenge their beliefs. So they want to reach back. And I don't mean reach back to their primal instincts. That's good. Getting in touch with your animal nature is a good thing. Understanding that we are just advanced animals is a good thing. It helps you become wild and free. I'm talking about wanting to hold on to dated ideas. Ideas that were tried and failed. You know, in 1865, there at the end, Dom Pedro II, I think, you might want to Google that one, sent recruiters to the southern United States because he wanted to bring those technical skills to Brazil. Offered them tax breaks, all kinds of stuff, trying to get them to move. And a lot of them did. 10,000 took off, left the South, and went further south, moved to a different continent, moved to Brazil, and set up a little town called Americana. Now, about 60% of them came back in real short order when they realized it wasn't exactly the same. But a decent enough number stayed because they wanted to hold on to that idea so bad. They wanted to preserve their culture. That culture. The funny thing happened, though. By the second generation, they were speaking Portuguese and intermarrying. By the third generation, they had completely assimilated. That town, Americana, city, it's got like 100,000 people in it. It still exists. It's still there. And it still has festivals that are southern in origin, kind of. But those ideas, those institutions, that culture they wanted to preserve, it's gone with the wind. It's just gone. All of that effort, fighting the future, fighting what was inevitable. Let's turn our attention to the Make America Great Again voter. If you look at the demographics from the 2016 election, Trump does not get a majority of voters until you hit age 50 or older. That means they were born in 1966 or before. Cold War kids. They're Cold War kids. They were ingrained with that propaganda, fighting the evil empire and all that stuff. Gave them purpose. Gave them clarity. And then it just disappeared on them. Can you imagine that? It's got to be tough. And that's what they want to reach back to. That clarity, that hierarchy, good versus evil, that conflict. You can see it in their social media posts. It's why they use the language they do. And then, you know, people ask and they wonder, like, how do they not see the bigotry in their movement? Really? 1966 or before. I don't see the bigotry in their movement because most of the voters were alive during segregation. So even if they don't hold those ideas overtly anymore, it's how they grew up. Unless they put forth effort to change, it's still there. It is still there. That's why they don't notice it. Because it's a whole lot less than what they grew up with. So to them, it's still an improvement. But that's what they want. They want that clarity, that hierarchy. They're desperate for an enemy to give them purpose. That's why they fall for that simple rhetoric. That rhetoric that mimics Cold War rhetoric. It's an invasion. They're socialists. The humorous part about that is most of this demographic of people look back on the early 1940s as like the pinnacle of American achievement. They might want to look at who was in the White House during that period. Social Democrats, like AOC. That's who was leading the country during your greatest generation. They fear globalists, never understanding that a nationalist is just a low ambition globalist. It's the same thing, just on a smaller geographic scale. There's no difference. They're governed by this fear of the unknown, by this reluctance to change. The thing is, though, every election cycle, more of them permanently age out of voting. And every election cycle, more young, untamed, free, wild, unafraid, unconquered, unpropagandized minds join the electorate. That wild and free future cannot be stopped. It's coming one way or another. The old institutions will pass, just like slavery, just like segregation, just like the Soviet Union. They'll disappear. They will disappear. The future is a future where women, racial minorities, gender and sexual minorities are free and equal. That's where we're headed. It's inevitable. It's what's going to happen. You can fight against it if you want. But there's nothing you can do. The Make America Great Again voter is a sandcastle on that beach. And that tide is coming in one way or another. And yeah, they may build a wall around their sandcastle. But every year, there's less and less grains of sand to hold it together. Those ideas are going to fade. They're going to go away. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they will be successful in terrifying their children and making them believe that they have to have an enemy. Passing on that desire to have a hierarchy, to have somebody you're better than, fearing the other. It could happen. Doesn't seem like a goal I would pursue, but it could happen. But why would you want it to? Even if these were things that you believed, why would you want that world to continue? When your youth, the children, don't want it. They're tired of it. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good night.